Alright guys, this is a video to reaffirm what we learned before our last game about how we release the bat, how we turn the hands over to release the bat, and how that gives you that effortless power, and how that gets you turning your hands over through the ball to really finish the swing. What this is going to show is that, put it this way, give me somebody who tries to muscle the ball with their whole body by sliding through the shot, by swinging tense, in other words, trying to literally muscle through the ball, and I'll show you a bad golfer, a bad hitter of the baseball, any swinging sport where somebody tries to muscle through, they will likely not be very good, almost certain. So I'm going to let a lot of this video speak for itself, and then I'm going to do some voiceover. But I think at the end of this, you'll start to see what it is we're trying to get you to do. This is like the last piece of the puzzle. For you bigger, stronger guys, you need to learn how to implement this because it's going to really add that extra juice to the ball. Some of you smaller guys that might not be as physically strong or whatever, you'll see for yourselves how this is the great equalizer. And to point this out, I'm going to mix in, golf videos because really they are the same swing. Anybody who tells you, oh, don't swing, don't, try to play golf during baseball season, it'll mess you up. To that I say BS, because they are basically the same swing. Golf just happens to be done on a tilted plane because the ball is sitting on the ground and it's sitting stationary. So you have to manufacture your bump into the ball to engage your hips and to engage the belt buckle like we talked about so many times. Whereas baseball, it's very similar. You're taking your stride like we've preached so often. You're taking your stride, and the point of that stride is to activate that belt buckle, activate the lower body, and then the arms come through last. Well, there's a final piece of that puzzle that we introduced the other day, and that is the wrists, the hands. Now, before I get started on this, I really want you to think about how you grip the bat. Some of you guys, we went over this several times. I know it's not an easy thing to understand, but I think you're going to start understanding it and see how it's basically required to grip the bat properly or the golf club properly, because you'll see for yourself you won't be able to do what they're doing in these videos effortlessly without gripping properly. So some of you guys who had, knuckles on knuckles and things like that, we tried to break you of that. Now you'll see for yourself why. It wasn't just to be talking, speaking in cliches or whatever. It's to literally show you how without the proper grip, you cannot get that extra power. You cannot, what we've called over and over, strike the pose, strike the pose. If you find that it's extremely difficult to do what we call that, quote, strike the pose, now you're going to see why that's difficult. Because if your hands are all jacked up, it's going to be impossible for you to roll over with those hands. So I'm going to let this go and do a few interruptions, but it's going to speak a lot for itself. Here we go.
What happens when one of the world's strongest men tries to play golf? Well, I'm meeting with Eddie Hall today to see how fast he can swing it, to see how far he can hit it. Now, Eddie Hall won the world's strongest man in 2017. He also holds the world record deadlift, 500 kilograms. To put that into perspective, that's 1,102 pounds. This guy's nickname is the Beast, and he's massive. Let's see what speed we can do. Oh.
Awful. Absolutely horrible. That is basically one of the worst golf swings you'll ever see. Now, granted, the guy's never played golf before. He doesn't know how to use his body. Now, I will say this. If somebody were to take the time and teach this guy how to use all that strength and to release the club and whatnot, oh my gosh, this guy could probably hit the ball 3 miles. But as it stands right now, he doesn't know how to do that. So you guys are actually more advanced already than the world's strongest man. He doesn't know how to release his hands. He doesn't know how to grip the club. He's trying to muscle the ball. Now, we're going to compare that to this guy. So, by the way, this guy's like 340 pounds or something like that. Okay, and you saw what a train wreck his swing is. Now let's go to this guy. He's about 170 pounds soaking wet, and let's see the difference.
In that release, we unhinge and roll over. That's how we can get a lot of speed. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are going to get a lot more speed by letting those hands naturally turn over in your swing versus trying to hold on to lag or trying to spin the body.
Okay, here's where we're talking about that grip. If your grip is not similar to this, at least similar, you are going to struggle to ever release the bat. You're going to be pushing, you're going to be sliding, your head's going to be going all over because you're going to be compensating for the most basic thing, and that is this. So if you knock this out, if you get this proper grip and really practice it, all the rest of this is going to fall into place. Try it for yourself. If you cannot release the bat like we're going to show here, you'll see for yourself that it's going to be very difficult. Okay, there's the baseball grip. Check it out. So similar. Baseball grip, almost the same as the golf grip. Wow, isn't that something? Magical. Two swinging sports who use the same basic foundation. Watch the similarities as we go forward. There's your grip. Like I said, if you can't get something close to that grip, you will not be able to do anything like this. Again, this is this 170-pound guy hitting it a freaking mile. Why? Here's where we're going to get into the meat of this video. I want you to concentrate, at this point, getting over to his left side and all those things that we've talked about, bumping, in your case in baseball, your stride into the ball. If you haven't gotten those basics down, this is going to be a struggle for you. So I'd suggest maybe reviewing some of those videos. But you're going to see there, he's bumped over to the left side. And now we're going to concentrate solely on his hands. We're going to watch what happens at impact. Watch his hands, watch his hands, watch his hands. Oh my gosh, just like we learned before the game the other day. Watch his hands turning over. Look, you can see his watch. You could read his watch. Before, when he was coming into the ball, the watch was pointing behind him, right? Okay, now as he pours through the shot, look, his hands start to turn over. I could read his watch face. Now, we're going to see the magic of how this applies to baseball, and I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I think you guys are going to really benefit from this going forward, okay? Now we're going to go forward here, and we're going to see how it applies to baseball. So, I want you to really start locking in on watching his hands. And you'll see, with all these golfers, with all these baseball players, watch the hands. He's using that golf grip, basically. At impact, right before impact, what starts happening? Bang, the hands start to roll over. Focus on those hands, hands. Look at that roll. Boom. That's creating that effortless power and giving it that last little bit of oomph. And notice also, to do this, to accomplish this, his head is not yanking all over the place. His head is where? What have we said a million times? Laser eyes, right there. His hands, he's going to be able to watch his hands turning over as he's watching the ball simultaneously hit the bat. But you see what we're saying there? Hands are turning over, body's under control. Now, can he strike a pose? I think he can, but he's going to strike that pose after he's done swinging. Now, some of you guys that let off, you're a little confused. When you let off with that left hand, a lot of you are doing it really, really early. And this is what we've been talking about. Stay connected until after you've rolled your hands. Then it's fine to let go with one hand. Like I've said, I've always done that in baseball my entire life. After and through contact, I come off with one hand because that gives me that free and full finish where I can strike the pose.
In that release, we unhinge and roll over. That's how we can get a lot of speed. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are going to get a lot more letting those hands naturally turn over in your swing versus trying to hold on to lag or trying to spin the body and speed by letting those hands clubhead speed by letting those hands.
All right, so here, we're going to go back to looking at the pros again. And you're going to see for yourself. Just watch. Right before impact and through impact. Bang. Watch nothing but the hands. Hands, turning over. Big, wide, full finishing swing. And look what happens. Comes off with one hand, but after he's finished. Now he can strike his pose. But let's look at this one more time just to punctuate it.
Your swing versus trying to hold on to lag or trying to spin the body and speed by letting those hands clubhead speed by letting those hands.
Hands rolled over. Hands starting to roll over. Hands rolling over. Hands continuing to roll over. Hands continuing to roll over. Now, let's notice this again. Laser eyes. Let's go back here. Laser eyes. Okay. Hands rolling over.